welcome back to episode 26. Though it had been there for those few, however many minutes, they would melted their lips together. Something that had been there: warmth, affection, caring, sincerity, or a mix of the four that went far beyond what mere desire could have hoped to reach. My parents' home is just around the corner. Taehyung suddenly spoke. Alright, Jungkook thought, looking out of the window in distance. Thank you, Taehyung said honestly, making Jungkook turn to him. The raven looked exceedingly nervous and freezing with the material of his jeans. I mean that even if you were an bar at the beginning, and I may be a bar for saying this, but you getting lost wasn't so bad. Jungkook wasn't sure if he wanted to laugh on or rip his hair out. It wasn't me. You would have owned up and done this eventually all on your own, Jungkook replied. He saw the flash of disbelief in those coffee eyes, but went on anyway. I said thank you, however. Thanks. Eyebrows frowned. Thank me? Yeah, I had a lot of fun not being an uptight rich buster. Jungkook replied with a grin, his nickname mocking. A faint blush dusted Taehyung's cheek as a grinned back sleeplessly. Okay, so you wasn't that bad after I worked on you a bit, Taehyung answered playfully. Jungkook hummed in agreement before his grin faded. So, thank you. Taehyung had to glance away when the seriousness of those words struck him, and his breath stopped short for a moment. When his house came into view, Jungkook was on the other side of the vehicle, but tail sigh of the limo slowing down told him that they have arrived. His gut twisted again. Here goes nothing, right? Taehyung asked, feeding with his hands. He looked over at Jungkook with a fluttering smile. I am sure they will be confused if they see a limo pulled up here. The vehicle came to a dead stop. Jungkook watched it with a sinking heart as Taehyung raised his hand and placed it on the door handle. The small snap of the door opening made the bonnet tense, and in a frenzy, Jungkook bolted across the limo. Taehyung had just opened the door enough to stick a hand through when Jungkook grabbed hold of the handle and held it still, jumping. Taehyung whipped his head around to see Jungkook close halfway, leaning over him and glaring down at the door handle. Brown eyes gazed at him, drawing in uneasy. Jungkook, Taehyung questioned the name almost a scream for the effort it took to get the vocal cords working. Jungkook's palms felt clumsy, fingers tightening their hold on the door handle. He swelled hard when Jungkook voiced his concern and snapped his eyes over to meet Taehyung's. It was a pursuing gaze that made Taehyung want to sink back into the leather seats. The bonnet took a deep breath and then let it out. He crushed his own shaky state because he could tell all he was doing was crushing Taehyung's apprehension. The other man was looking up at him in something akin to fear, and he didn't like it, not one bit. It was close to the same expression he had made when Jungkook woke up to that kiss. Why did you kiss me? Taehyung almost choked on his sofa. What kind of question is that? Taehyung answered, lowering his head so he didn't have to look in those inquisitive eyes any longer. A very good one, considering the rule you made me aware of on very first day. Kook pressed on, unconsciously leaning forward a bit more. He needed Taehyung to look at him and answer him directly. He needed Taehyung to tell him straight up that it was on a whim or an obligation or a mistake, and that last one not only dove a knife on a chair but twisted in viciously. Taehyung was glowering when he looked up. I wasn't your woe at that time, Taehyung said tightly. All that more reason to ask. Jungkook contoured swiftly. Taehyung brought a hand up to knead at the forehead as if a headache was growing and growing fast. Jungkook, Taehyung sighed, the name worn and tired on his tongue. It squeezed at Jungkook's heart. There was a quiet plead in that voice Jungkook knew, and his will to not back down was cracking. Why now? All times, we will talk about it later, even if there is nothing much to talk about. He was lying, Jungkook knew it. If the burner thought Taehyung might avoid him after this, before, and worry had tripled now, Taehyung went to push the door open again, but Jungkook stood his ground, holding the door in place. Taehyung's next sigh was from frustration. Alright, so it was bad timing. Jungkook agreed, if only to try to ease Taehyung's irritation. He bit the inside of his cheek to try and focus on something beside how jittery his body was before he spoke. Go work it out with your parents. Do whatever you have to do to get your life back on track and the way you want it. You know, that's what I want too, but after that, I want you to come back to me. The words alone was suffocating. Pair them with sincere chocolate eyes and the strong body he knew so well leaning over him. Taehyung could hardly breathe at all. What the heck does that mean? Taehyung's mind yelled desperately. He wished Jungkook had just stopped talking. Taehyung wished he had shoved the door open and secured away, because he didn't know what to make of those words, and it did him not good to think they sound like, well, it's like confession or of sorts. I already told you I would hang out or something. I give you my number, Taehyung said, determined to bring this dangerous conversation to an end. Jungkook wasn't going to buy it. He was sure now more than ever that Taehyung was running the bonnet. Had no idea what was going on in Taehyung's mind, but he knew that he would be forever regretting this moment if he didn't at least try. He couldn't be like Bugam, who let Taehyung go and thought it for the best, not when the one thing he wanted to do more than anything else in his life at that moment was embrace this man before him and never let go. I don't want to just hang out or see you ever once in a great while, Jungkook explained, trying to gasp on. Mom, the words took Jungkook by surprise. He looked out the window, and sure enough, the lady had walked out of the house looking at the limo inquisitively. He then turned back to the nervous Raven. We will talk about this another time. Taehyung finalized, feeling sick as he tried to push the door open a third time. Jungkook let his hand slip from the door. He slowly leaned back on his knees, which were stiff from the odd position they had been in. Hesitant and vulnerable, the words still managed to flow from between his lips. I love you. With one leg touching the ground outside, the body leaning halfway out of the doorway, Taehyung went rigid in relation to every other tense limb. His jaw slackened, adoring the an expression of picture perfect awe. He turned his neck ever so slowly. Jungkook took in a sharp breath and held it. Oh God, did he just say that? Staring back into the wide, searching eyes that met his own, he knew his question had been answered. With a quickened body and a stomach trying itself into tight knots, Jungkook waited for the inevitable. Taehyung was at a loss of words, so thrown off balance, his throat would tighten, ready to make a sound that would fall short each and every time he took a shuddered breath. When his surrounding work came crashing back down on him, breaking the sparking gaze, he turned back to his home. A lump forming in his throat when he saw his mother, and he had moved closer, seeing the raven's torn and frantic expression. Jungkook's face contorted into something akin to worry and resignation. Talk about the worst possible timing ever. Jungkook shifted the moment catch by the corner of Taehyung's eyes, a coffee eyes. Jungkook's head whimpered back to look at Jungkook in. The brunette lifted himself from the limo floor, scooting back over to the side and resting his body on the leather seat. He crossed his arm just a little too tightly, turning to the blinding stare out the window. Talk to your mom. I have said what I wanted to, Jungkook said. There truly was nothing else he could say. There was no way to ministrate those words. It was all laid in the raven's hand. Now Taehyung stared, eyes straining to see what he could not. The bonnet had turned away, however, sternly hiding his expression. Frustration stinging his eyes, Taehyung's head dropped. He tried to open his mouth again to form nothing but air, and with a helpless burn crushing through his chest, he snapped his shirt. Without a word, the raven crawled out of the limo and shut the door behind. Jungkook hand tightened on his arms, eyelids slipping closed. He leaned his head against the glass window. It was cool to the touch. He stayed like this for a while, years. His only sense of what was going around behind him. He heard the trunk popped open and the suitcase being rolled along the ground. He heard the driver get back into the limo. Only when he heard faint sounds, of which he knew were voices, did he open his eyes and turn towards the other side of the vehicle. Taehyung's back was at him. As he stood in front of his mother, who held a hand over her mouth, Taehyung's stand was slumped, almost as if he was expecting to be yelled at, but by the look of his mother's face, Jungkook knew that wouldn't be the case. His fingers pressed the intercom button on the door. Go back to the hotel, he told the driver. With the order, the engine roared to life. Jungkook turned back to his own window as the vehicle was set in motion, left behind Taehyung watching the limo until it drove out of sight. With no acknowledge of the situation, Mrs. Kim quickly summoned her son in the house. When he beat down on his lips to stop the tears plopping in his eyes from falling, Jungkook stood in the middle of the hotel suite with fists on his hips. He turned his head with this way and that to survey his surroundings. It was empty, but only in a personal sense. All the furnishings, including couch, coffee table, massage table, fridge, chair, and other condition of hotel were still present, gone instant, but nearly all of his belongings. The closet and drawers have been cleared out. The bathroom sink and cabinets has been emptied. All that remained in the fridge were a few bottles of water, and of course, gone was one who would greet him with the welcome home. Jungkook smiled fondly. Today was the last day in Seoul. Though he wasn't traveling too far, in 2 days' time he would be starting a new career. He still hadn't spoken to his father since that morning as promised. However, he did call his mother. Disappointment was evident. It had been hard to listen to her plea to stay, but all he had to do was ask why she didn't plead with Namjoon in the same way, and she dropped the subject. Is that it? Speaking of Namjoon, the very man stood in the doorway to Jungkook's hotel room. When Jungkook had finally managed to get in touch with the young actor, he immediately booked a flight to Seoul. He hadn't even questioned. All Jungkook had to say was that he cut off ties with their family, and Namjoon was there. His brother had been his lifeline, so to speak. In the past week, without Taehyung. Yeah, that should be it, Jungkook confirmed, walking over to the phone. Hungry? Yeah, Jungkook, Namjoon replied, shutting the front door behind him. Jungkook dialed room service. Can I get 2 bowls of beef ramen? Send up, please. I'm very sorry, Jian, but it appeared that the bank account in our records has been put on a hold. Would you like to pay with cash option? The receptionist replied. Jungkook held his breath for 2 seconds before grinding his teeth together and hanging the phone. Namjoon stared curiously. Looks like that close. My bank accounts, Jungkook muttered unpleasantly, sitting next to Namjoon at the dining room table. Namjoon nodded knowingly, reaching in his back pocket. How much do you need? Namjoon asked, completely serious. Jungkook was sure the man who would write a check for thousands in a second. Jungkook smiled, putting a hand up. I want to try this on my own. Jungkook insisted there was an unsaid like him that hung in the air. A small smile crashed Namjoon's face, but he didn't put the checkbook away. I'm still hungry. We are eating. Namjoon insisted. Nah, Jungkook lunged. Then let's go out somewhere instead of being stuffed up in here. Jungkook suggested. Namjoon seems to agree, pocketing the checkbook and standing. They both grabbed their jackets, cell phones, and keys. They were in the process of slipping on their shoes when a phone rang with those loud and shrill to be a cell phone. Jungkook said, "What now? Just go on down and call your driver. I will meet you in the lobby." Namjoon nodded, and both brothers parted in opposite directions. Jungkook did not see the surprised look that crossed over Namjoon's face when the male stepped out of Jungkook's room. "Hello," Jungkook asked, rather impatiently, holding the phone to his ear. Jungkook, the bonnet nearly dropped his phone, hearing jumping high on high. It got logged in his throat, or that's what it felt like anyway. Taehyung, Jungkook asked dumbly, clearing his throat. "Yeah, it's me," Taehyung exclaimed, like the past week had never happened, like Jungkook hadn't gotten his heart broken. It both concerned and revealed him. "I want to see you. I might outside of your building." Jungkook leaned down and over the phone stand, balancing himself with one hand on the cherry board. "I was up. Not this is how going to work, Jungkook." Taehyung interrupted. The overly friendly tone dropped into something much more sober. "I'm overcoming my fear right now, so you have to do too." Jungkook paused. Fear? What was they talking about? His parents again? And wait, what fear? Of his own? "What do you mean?" Jungkook asked curiously. His body was slowly calming, heart rate slowly down from the shock of hearing things. Wise, sure, Jungkook had not ever thought about giving up on the man yet, but was far too gone for that. But not hearing from the Raven for a week was definitely not encouraging, especially with the last words that had been uttered. Didn't believe there were words to express just how utterly happy he was at that moment. Whether he was confused or not, Taehyung was here, which meant he chose to come back, right? "I'm not coming up until I see you looking down at me," Taehyung answered. Jungkook's head whimpered up to the balcony with terrified eyes. "Shall we continue?" Finally, Jungkook confessed his feelings. What do you think about Taehyung? Is he going to accept Jungkook's feelings or not? And what is gonna happen next? Okay, so this story is going to be ended soon. I hope you will enjoy it. And I will start a new story. If you have any idea, you can comment it down. What do you want to read next? Or I will work on my own. Okay, bye bye.